Hello, good afternoon. Thursday, August 24th, 1,000 degrees outside. Closing in on 1 o'clock here. Just wanted to say hi real fast. We are down in the basement. Want to welcome you to the Daily Craig Sports Show. Just talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of sports. The bad news we all woke up to this morning is Shohei Ohtani messed up his elbow pitching against my Cincinnati Reds, and he's done pitching for the year. Now, what does that mean with hitting? Who knows? We probably won't find out for a couple days here, but he threw a pitch. I think it was like a low 80 mile an hour, 81 mile an hour fastball, and immediately looked over at the dugout. They knew something was up. What's really, really crazy is he played the second part of a doubleheader. He came back and then had a really big hit actually halfway through the game. So I would think if you have Tommy John surgery, which that's what it looks like he's going to have. He's definitely done pitching this year. Excuse me. He had Tommy John in 2019 and then came back and really started dominating even more than what he did prior to the surgery. But this would be his second Tommy John surgery in like 4 years. Will he be able to bat with this? Now, Bryce Harper had this last year, and he was out a considerable part of the season. But again, he was playing the field some, throwing, everything like that. If they just basically say, Shohei, you are a designated hitter and nothing else, then we'll see. I'm sure he's going to be out some. The question is going to be, does he go ahead and have the surgery now and then hopefully get ready for next season and just say, I'm going to be a designated hitter for a year or whatever that is? There's a lot of things going up in the air because his contract's up at the end of the year. He was ready to make, $50, $60 million, maybe even $70 million a year because you have that double-edged dominant player, the best pitcher in the league and the best hitter. So now is it contract going to be you're the best hitter and still get $40 million, and then incentives for pitching are going to go on top of that. So we'll see what happens with that, but terrible news, terrible situation. So hopefully he comes back really, really quickly. Him not pitching the rest of the year is going to, the Angels are in a free fall anyway. Mike Trout came back for one game, and then he aggravated his wrist again, so he's out for a while on the injured list. My Reds just got done sweeping them. They just have a weird lineup. They just have a weird lineup where if you get past the top half, you're not really that worried. The Reds bullpen only let up one run in the entire series, and they have just been throwing gasoline on the fire, letting up run after run all season. So the Reds got right. The Astros continued their slide. Last night, Aaron Judge also hit 3 home runs to end the Yankee skid. They looked just so much better than what they did before. They had some energy, some pep. So they get the win. The Reds and the Cubs are tied for the wild card spot, the second one. The Brewers continue to win. So we'll see what happens in the world of baseball. Let's take a peek real quick. I should have this pulled up, but I did not. Let's see we got some games actually happening here earlier today. We've got Dodgers and Guardians are already in the middle of the 5th inning. Dodgers are winning. Nationals, Yankees, Rockies, Rays. Those are warming up. And then we've got Red Sox, Astros, Dodgers, Cleveland in their second game later on the doubleheader. Chicago and Pittsburgh, Toronto, Baltimore, Texas, Minnesota, Oakland, and Chicago White Sox. And my Reds versus the Diamondbacks. So we got 10 games, not as many, as a normal day, but for us here in the NL Central, the Cubs are playing against the Pirates. We're playing against the Diamondbacks. I say we like I'm a Cincinnati Red. No Brewers. So yeah, it's a nice day of baseball. So we'll see what happens there with everything. So that's the big news in the world of baseball. The big story here locally is our Indianapolis Colts are playing tonight in Philadelphia. The starters are expected to play. There's just a lot going up in the air. And I was listening to our local broadcast here, local sports show. Good show here in the middle of the day. They had a great point that I really had not even thought of. The Colts were adding a new quarterback, Anthony Richardson, AR5. He's our guy. He doesn't have any starts. He doesn't have many snaps, not much experience and all this stuff, and that's fine. So he's going to be the quarterback. Ready, go. And then you've got Alec Pierce that needs to take a big step. You got Josh Downs that needs to come out on fire. You got hang on. Michael Pittman Jr. Sorry, cannot remember the name. Got Michael Pittman Jr. It's in a contract year. He should have a big year. Really looked good, hopefully, like he did the last couple of years, getting better. Got Reggie Wayne teaching that group. You got the tight end class. What's going to happen with Jelani Woods? Mo Alley Cox is going to make the team. All these weapons. And then the big elephant in the room, obviously Jonathan Taylor, sitting there right next to the quarterback. You've got Moss that has a broken hand or a broken arm, and you're kind of all over the place in the running back room. So Jim Irsay, the owner of the Colts, has been very, very vocal, saying that, the running backs are undervalued, but that's just kind of where it is in the market right now. So I don't understand, if you're the Colts and you're sitting there saying your best playmaker is probably Jonathan Taylor, what are we doing? Because they're not going to give him a big contract. He wants a big contract. It is absolutely just a fight right now. So I bring up all the other playmakers because there are so many holes in this Colts team that you could just start. You're plugging one and then another one springs open. So the offensive line, you have a lot of money invested in Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly. You're trying to find who's up there and who's healthy and who's going to work. Last year, the line was awful, just terrible. And that led to Matt Ryan getting his head blown off. It led to Jonathan Taylor getting his knee blown off. I mean, all kinds of different things happening with the offense, and it all started with that offensive line. So if the offensive line can't block, Anthony Richardson's going to have to run all over the place, which means the higher chance to get injured. So with the Colts, they have so much money invested in a few different players that we're all over the place. We've got all kinds of holes, all kinds of issues. Tonight, the last preseason game, so we're probably going to see those guys for, I would guess, a quarter and a half, probably 2 to 3 drives. We'll see what happens. What am I looking for? I'm looking for the offensive line to actually go out there and compete. I'm looking to them not to get run over. The Eagles are awesome. The Eagles are going to play their second teams. They're not playing their starters. So it is going to be ones on twos. So I expect the Colts on the offensive side to absolutely run them over. Get some run game going. Throw to the tight ends pretty quick. The last couple practices, last couple games, it's kind of big dink and duck. He had a nice throw the first game to Alec Pierce that went right through his hands. I think that they've got to step up, and this is getting them prepared for week one, obviously, but it's going to be really, really interesting to see what our Colts do. I'm not going to take too much into heart what they do. I would like to see them play better. I would like to see them move the ball. They moved the ball against Buffalo a little bit. Our way overpriced kicker missed a nice and easy field goal, so we'll see what happens there. But my hope for the Colts is they catch lightning in the bottle and everybody plays out of their minds and we go on a nice little run. The hope won't happen because the truth is they're probably going to win 4 or 5 games. Jonathan Taylor is not going to play for the Colts anymore. The tight end room that has been underachieving the last couple of years hopefully steps up. The offensive line that has been really, really crappy and paid a lot hopefully steps up and does a lot better. The receivers have got to step up and help Anthony Richardson. And then on the defensive side, it's DeForest Buckner and who else? Shaquille Leonard now is in concussion protocol. He got him back, but now he can't play. So this Kwity Paye is a great player, but he hasn't really hit his expectations. So when the time is right, as the season gets going, and maybe even next offseason, we're going to look at see what draft picks has Chris Ballard hit on. It's not many. It's really not, because this team is really flawed. There's a lot of holes. There's a lot of people that have money that are just not producing. So what do you start to do here? You're building from the ground up, and a lot of people in Indianapolis think you just put the quarterback back there and we're ready to roll. We're going to win 10, 11 games, win the division, and cruise. That's not going to happen. This team is going to struggle. So that's why this whole Jonathan Taylor thing is so important. A couple of people here locally just said, get a trade done and move on, and that's what they have to do. They have to get a trade done, and they have to move on. I want a first-round pick. I want a second-round pick. I want something high. I want them to get him for Stephon Diggs. That'd be great. But really, there's a couple things. We talked about this yesterday. The team that trades for JT has got to not only give up draft picks that they need to do, but they also have to have a contract in place. Because if Jonathan Taylor is going to go from here to Miami, Miami is much better. Better opportunity to win. They've got a crowded running back room already. And is JT really hurt or not? Is that ankle really rehabbing? Is it hurting, or what's going on? The Colts have a deadline of next Tuesday because that's when the cuts have to happen. So a Tuesday, what do? Do you put him on the PUP list, which means he can't play the first 4 games? Do you get a trade worked out? Do you put him on the injured list? There's a lot going on here in the next few days that has to get sorted out by our Colts. So we'll see what happens there. My gut feeling, I I can see it both ways, right? You can see Jonathan Taylor getting a trade for something kind of a little bit cheaper than what the Colts want, maybe a third, fourth round pick that can move up to a second round pick. But again, that team has to have that conversation, because if I'm Taylor and I'm going to Miami, that's great. They've already got money tied into quite a few players down there, and Tua's contract's coming. So is there going to be enough to go around? Are they going to really value you, or are they treating you like a one-year rental? So for Taylor, it's a real interesting spot. I know that he's waving the flag for the running backs, but he's fighting against Jim Irsay. Jim Irsay protects the shield. He puts the NFL ahead of everything. He was calling for Daniel Snyder. He was calling for the running backs not to get these special contracts and stuff. So it's really, really interesting to see what happens here. I truly think JT will end up being a Colt for the whole season. I don't think he'll play a snap, but I think he's going to be on the team. I think he's going to be on the PUP list, and then I think he's going to put on the IL for the rest of the season. So that's happening in the world of football. The Mets are going to retire Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry's numbers, which is going to be really, really cool. Both those guys were absolute legends. Doc Gooden 16, Strawberry 18. Everybody knows the story of those guys growing up in the 80s and 90s. I remember watching Darryl Strawberry hit. You know his batting stance just by saying his name. And Doc Gooden was as good as they get. So that'll be real interesting. Tonight we've got another NFL game. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll see what happens with those games. Pittsburgh's coming into this as a real interesting season. Kenny Pickett, year 2, Joey Porter Jr., their draft pick. They look primed to really make a step and really be competitive for that division. Down there in Atlanta, they've got Ritter from Cincinnati. Sounds like he's ready to roll. Sounds like he's the real deal. If you watch that quarterback show on Netflix, they fell out of love with Marcus Mariota real quick, and they put it all in Desmond Ritter's hands. So far it looks like he's doing okay. It's on the NFL Network tonight, so we need to definitely take a peek at that and see how they're doing. But Pittsburgh, I think Pittsburgh is going to be a real solid team this year. Their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, really good in college, struggled a little bit last year just with some of the play calls, but I think this year he's going to get it together, and I think Pittsburgh is going to make it on a big run. And then the rest of the games, 3 tomorrow, a bunch on Saturday and 1 on Sunday. And then also on Saturday, we've got the Notre Dame Navy college football game tonight. Little League World Series, you've got California versus Washington. That is for the winner of the losers bracket. The winner of that goes on to face Texas for the United States title game. So we'll see with that. We have been watching that. We are a baseball family, so we've got a 15U travel player in the house. So we've been monitoring that as well. Lionel Messi yesterday won with PKs. We're not going to act like we know soccer or anything here. We're going to stay in our lane of basketball, football, baseball, stuff like that. But excited to see the college season coming up here pretty soon. Excited to see some baseball this evening. Our Reds, we've been watching every Reds game since Ellie came up. He went, he had a big hit yesterday, and he's just an alien, basically. So anyway, that's going to be it for us. Not much else going on in the world of sports, just a lot of the preseason football. Here locally, we're talking a ton about Jonathan Taylor. The Colts fans are losing their mind because Anthony Richardson didn't play last week. It's preseason. These are useless. Oh, he's getting snaps. Well, if he's getting snaps with third-string offensive linemen and fourth-string receivers, that does nothing. All it does is get that repetition of the movement, but it's not building any cohesiveness with his group. I think him in practice, these joint practices, they're way more beneficial than these games. So I don't lose my mind over the preseason. Hopefully you don't either. There are things to see. There are things that are really, really cool. But every single team, every single person here can say there's a player I fell in love with on this offseason, and they didn't even make the team, and you never even hear from him again. Oh, that was a running back from Vanderbilt. That guy's awesome. And he gets cut, and he never plays again, never comes back to camp. So these preseason games are interesting. They're tough to watch. We're going to probably turn on for the first quarter or so just to watch Anthony Richardson play, just to see. When we saw him at Buffalo, I think he moved a little bit better than what I thought. I think his vision was a little bit better because he got out of that pocket and ran a couple times. The thing that I'm really going to be interested in as the season goes on, are they going to have so many designed runs for AR5 as they had with Jalen Hurts out there, because Shane Steichen, as you know, came from Philadelphia. So I think it's something where you have a Ferrari, and we've had a Ferrari before. We had number 12, Andrew Luck, as a Ferrari, but he ran a lot and got hurt, and I think that's going to kind of be a little bit of PTSD for Irsay and some of the brass for the Colts. They're going to tell Steichen, maybe no run as much as we were thinking about it. But anyway, we'll take a look and see, and then we'll break it down tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Appreciate all of you. Make sure you comment below. Let me know what we should talk about. Let me know what's going on in your world of sports. Here personally, we've got fall ball starting in a couple weeks. We're going to play a few fall baseball games. Again, 15U travel, so a little bit different, a little bit fun. And then it's crazy hot today, 94 degrees, 95 degrees. The heat index is going to get to low to mid 100, 110, 105, something like that. So be careful if you're out there, be safe. And if your kids are outside playing, make sure you get water, cooling towels, keep them cool, put them in the shade, and just, kind of get through the day. So thank you for being here. Appreciate all of you. We'll talk to you tomorrow.